We arrived in Buenos Aires early in the morning, settled in our hotel, which was called the Unique Executive Central. It was located in the very center of the city. It was made in the old colonial style and was very convenient for all our trips. Near the center of the city, there was a bus stop of hop on and hop off big bus, which we were going to use for the next 2 days. This is the view from our window. Beautiful, blossoming purple trees, Jacaranda mimosifolia, that we liked very much. The first day we decided to look around, walking around the city to see the sights in the center. Our first photo was taken near the Opera House. Here we also walked around the theater, looked at the square, which is very beautiful. There are a lot of monuments and the gorgeous buildings. Many of them are made of such red stone. They are very unusual. Monuments and sculptures are visible in these photographs. Governmental buildings near the Opera House. There is also a famous private school named after President Roca, where many prominent people of Argentina studied and worked. Some of their names are immortalized on the metal plates of the pavement at the entrance. There are interesting towers. We tried to take photos of all the attractions in this square, as well as the Theater Colón from afar, from different positions and perspectives. After we walked around the square, we decided to find a cafe to have lunch. The closest was the Opera Cafe. We ordered national food that is very popular in Argentina. This is beef milanese and empanadas. It was delicious. After that, we rested a little bit and continued our exploration of the center of Buenos Aires. We visited Plaza de Mayo and the main cathedral, which is also called Papal. Here you can see the sign of the Pope, who is currently an Argentinian named Francis, who is very popular in this country. And this is one of very unusual benches made of cement, but it seems like it is soft and comfy. In the evening, we went to a famous tango show in the theater called Tango Porteño. We bought tickets in advance and were very excited to go. The tickets included transfer from the hotel and back to the hotel after the show. Unfortunately, it was forbidden to take pictures of the show, so we took some near the theater and in the lobby. Before the show, we were served some refreshments and snacks. Some people even had dinner. The show was absolutely gorgeous. Amazing, and it made a huge impression on us. We will definitely remember it our whole life. The next day, we started with a trip on big bus of hop-on, hop-off tour company. Here is the place where our journey began on the Central Avenue. This is the view from the window of the bus. We could see the modern city of Buenos Aires with its skyscrapers and other attractions. Our first bus stop was near the Art Museum of Latin America. We visited this wonderful museum and watched various exhibits of an archaeological character, as well as works of art and sculpture. Here we saw a portrait of Frida Kahlo. This self-portrait is of great value in this museum. We also saw a beautiful sculpture depicting love and paintings that were created by the authors of the beginning of the 20th century under the influence of modernism and other currents of that time. In addition to sculptures and paintings, there were installations. One of them was of a condor, and now another moving installation. We really liked this museum, a kind of museum that reflects the peculiarities of local culture, and we decided that it enriched our view of the history of art, especially of South America. Our next stop was near a very peculiar, absolutely unique sculptural complex near which we spent some time. The complex is a lotus flower made of steel and other metals. The peculiarity is that this is the first sculpture in the world that moves throughout the whole day. The petals of the flower start to open in the morning with sunrise and move through the day while the sun is in the sky. Then they start to close, and in the morning the cycle repeats again. This is an unusually beautiful sight. Many people come here to look at it. The founder of this type of sculpture was the Argentinian engineer. Is a work from the worldwide known Argentinian architect Eduardo Catalano, and it was opened in 2002 at the faculty of the university. 23 meters height, 18 tons of weight, it was the first sculpture in movement in the country thanks to a complex and precise high-technology system that makes each of the petals 3.5 tons open with the first sunlight until its shape is complete and closed at sunset. Жалко, что нельзя поставить видеокамеру и заснять весь процесс открытия цветка от восхода до заката. Next to the park where the lotus flower is located, the building of the University of Buenos Aires is located, the law department. There is also a fine art museum which is also made from the same pink stone as well as many other historical buildings in Buenos Aires. In the very center near our hotel there is the main attraction of the city, which is called the obelisk. We rested a little in the hotel and went to a cafe for dinner. We chose this cafe because it had an unusual name. It was called Alma. In this cafe we also ordered Argentinian national food, which we really liked. This ended our second day in Buenos Aires. In the morning of the third day, we continued our journey on the big bus and explored other sites. We saw the opera house from the bus window and also another cafe, Tortoni, in which the tango performance also takes place. After that, we drove to the most touristic area of Buenos Aires called La Boca. We saw the stadium of the famous Argentinian Boca team that is known around the world, where the famous soccer players like Maradona and Messi played, and this stadium also became the historical center of Argentinian football, Argentinian soccer, and the whole sports life of Argentina. We were delighted to see many cute and funny, interesting houses of the old city, comic sculptures of famous people of Argentina, especially Diego Maradona, Roman Pope Francis, and other famous people, near which tourists often take photos. We also could not resist taking photos with them. This old district, as the tourist center, is filled with souvenir shops, kiosks, selling different souvenirs. People are dancing tango near the cafe, attracting guests and thousands of tourists who come to this place to see this peculiar culture. We also tried to dance tango with Slava. Now you can see how it was.
toque el bombo, con licua, con tierra y lobo para contar cuentos. De solo pensarlo se hace bombo mi corazón. Llame al gordo sierra, pa' que haga chipazo. Si lo ve al turista de la mamá, grítelo. El nena estaba triste y estoy contento.
After La Boca, we went to the biggest mall in Argentina, Galeria Pacifico, the Pacific Gallery, where all the walls and ceiling are covered with frescoes and paintings. It has a huge food court where we ate delicious Argentinian food, after which we continued our journey by bus, listening to our tour guide on the bus. This ended our third day in Buenos Aires. Our last fourth day was the day of departure, but we managed to have a wonderful tour in the morning inside the Cologne Opera House. This theater is different from every other theater in the world. The interior of this theater is more like a museum. Its peculiarity is that it is the only opera house in the world that has stained glass windows. They are very beautiful. There are sculptures, beautiful vases brought from all over the world, and this makes a very strong impression. We were in the theater and the museum at the same time. The theater has 5 circles or tires and a lot of beautiful decorations. One of the theater's peculiarities is that there is a circular painting and a chandelier on the ceiling, and there is an observation deck where you can walk around and watch what is going on in the big hall below. You don't see it in the photo, but due to its huge size, this theater has a very special acoustic system. It has a special room under the theater's floor for resonating sound. Under the chairs, you can see that there are openings in the floor from which the sound comes from this resonant chamber. It makes the acoustics of this hall unique. In this theater, many famous musicians performed, like Bellini, and many famous singers like Luciano Pavarotti and many others. This is a beautiful theater that we will never forget. We finished our tour of the theater and went back to the hotel, near which we waved goodbye to a couple of cute modern sculptures that were installed there. It was time to go home and to leave Buenos Aires.